All right, let's talk about set point elevation and weight gain as a result of stress and depression. This is something I see in my office very frequently, where patients are struggling with managing their stress and depression, and as a result it triggers either behaviors or hormonal changes that cause a lot of weight gain. Now, we've spent a lot of time talking about your metabolic thermostat and how as you lose weight, your body essentially fights that weight loss by increasing your hunger and decreasing your metabolism. That's an example of a negative feedback loop, and that helps to keep things in check. What we find with stress and depression is something very dangerous, and that's a positive feedback loop. The problem that we see with stress and depression is that the stress and depression that we experience in our life causes weight gain, which then of course causes more stress and depression, because oftentimes one of the things that we feel the most stress and depression about is our body weight, which of course increases the stress and depression. And this positive feedback loop is something that is extremely dangerous in health and that we have to avoid as much as possible. So let's talk about how our body manages and handles stress. Now, again, let's remember that we were cavemen. And our physiology is designed to handle the stresses of caveman life. And the truth is that cavemen actually had a pretty good life for the most part, in some ways, in other ways not so great. They often worked somewhere between 4 to 5 hours a day just finding food. They lived with their tribe. There was a lot of social interactions. It was really a very pleasant life from that perspective. What was unpleasant was that they could be walking around a corner and see a tiger, a mountain lion, and all of a sudden have an immediate and direct threat for their life. And so our stress system was designed to handle these acute physical threats where your heart rate would increase, your pupil diameter would increase, and time would almost come to a slowdown, and you would have an intense amount of focus and energy so that you could manage this immediate threat. But the truth is, in modern day, that's not what we're struggling with. There aren't mountain lions, and the truth is our fight or flight system, which I'm describing in the caveman times, is something that gets activated at full force maybe once every 2 or 3 months when someone in front of you slams on their brakes and you have to come to a screeching halt or something along those lines. These are not threats that we face in today's society. What we do face are more chronic threats: bills and financial stresses, family and relationship stresses. These things take their toll. And unfortunately, our caveman physiology is not at all designed to manage our modern day stress. And so what happens is that you have a release, instead of epinephrine and norepinephrine or adrenaline or the regular stress hormones, our body manages chronic stress with a different set of hormones, something like cortisol. And while epinephrine or adrenaline don't cause weight gain, chronic cortisol increase can cause weight gain. So our body is very poorly primed. In caveman time, they dealt with physical threats over a short duration. They managed it with adrenaline, and our nervous system is really well designed to handle this. Modern day, this is emotional and social threats. It is all day, every day. We rely mostly on cortisol, and our nervous system is really poorly designed to manage these. So if you're going to break this positive feedback cycle, it really depends on finding better ways to manage your stress and depression. And the truth is, there are a lot of good ways, and there are things that you can do. So let's first talk about what works. Exercise is the best stress reliever. Normally, as we talk more about exercise, you'll find that I really promote resistance training or weight training over low intensity, long duration cardio training. However, when you're talking about managing stress and depression, that low intensity cardio, like a long walk or an elliptical at a relatively slow pace, those are techniques that work great to limit your stress and help you control your stress. And this is a positive thing. This is something that's going to promote weight loss as opposed to distract your weight loss goals. Yoga also, which I kind of describe as meditation and exercise all in one, is an amazing thing for people who think that stress and depression is playing a big role in their weight gain. And you can do yoga at any level. That's another great thing about it. If you're really in shape, there's some crazy high intensity yoga exercises and moves and classes that you can take. If you struggle just to walk a few hundred feet, there's also yoga classes that you can take that'll work great. Meditation is also scientifically proven, and you're seeing a lot more discussion about the role of meditation in our society, this idea of being mindful and being able to focus on what's in front of you rather than being completely and totally distracted by things around us that aren't really impacting this current moment that we're all living in right now. Unprocessed food, eating a really clean diet, can be very helpful for managing stress and depression. It gives your body the fuel it needs to handle these problems that are challenging it. And also, I think it's important that there are medications. Some medications can help manage stress and depression. This is something to talk to your primary care doctor or psychiatrist about. It's not necessarily where I would go as a first-line treatment, but it's certainly in someone who really has tried all of these other items. It is something that's worthwhile. I think also important to recognize what doesn't work in terms of managing stress and depression. Drugs, alcohol, they don't help you reduce your stress and depression. They typically cause a lot more stress and depression. Processed foods or junk food also makes you feel lousy. These surges in your blood sugar level and then the low blood sugar that responds after this, these are things that will worsen your mood and will worsen your ability to manage stress. Smoking also, a lot of patients tell me that they smoke as a result of their stress. And while it may cause an immediate release in their stress, it does not cause a long-term relief. And finally, taking it out on others. Letting your stress and depression interfere with your relationship with others is not going to help. And in fact, it's going to make things worse. Turning toward your family and your friends, the people who care and love about you, and to help you manage these difficult times is often your best bet. Thanks.